Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Check.
We look good over there. We smooth. All right, I'm gonna turn my. All right, let me get my little because I got questions, but it ain't like this is not like one of those things. But hold on, we rolling now, L. All right, bet. Here we go. So hey guys, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Real Wave Podcast. I'm your host Naeem, aka Chill Smith, aka whatever. Philip Cups. We like the Philip Cups. Add value. Yeah. So shout outs to Rocky Media Studios. Shout outs to my folks. Right. If it was a little rocky last time, but we here. we here. Shout out to each low, the whole team, Lur. You know what I'm saying? See y'all. Today I got a special guest. And just to be clear, like I haven't had a lot of guests yet. But this honestly means a lot to me because one reason why I started the podcast is to get stories like this. I believe that everybody has a story. Everybody's stories matter. And, you know, I'm not going to steal his thunder, but just a quick, brief introduction. When I first caught wind of this man, I was just blown away, you know what I mean, by his energy and excitement and then his backstory, you know what I mean? And it's not a lot of brothers and people and men, you know, that inspire other men to do better. And I can relate because, you know, 2013, this healthy, active lifestyle, creating healthier habits has been a game changer for me. And I love to see what it does for other people. But I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to introduce him by his government, and he'll tell you all about himself. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for Mr. Kellen Matthew. You dig what I'm saying? I'm going to call him Kells for short. But, yeah, welcome to the show, Kel. I appreciate you, bro. You got a crazy, amazing story. But wait, before we get into it, I was just about to say off camera, when I first decided to do the podcast, and I was like, yo, people like you, somebody like you, I want to get his story and interview and dive deep. And I remember telling two of my homies, and they was like, yo, that's the guy that's married to so-and-so. And I'm like, look. I'm like, look, who's so-and-so? They like, what? You don't know XYZ? I'm like, no. And then they start showing me, and I'm like, I've seen her, but I don't know. I'm like, wow. So completely, you made my radar, first of all. So just, you know, introduce yourself to the folks and talk to people.
Yeah, so my name is Kellen, also known as Kellen Runs Philly. I'm an athlete now, but yeah, my story goes back to, you know, getting into prescription opioids at a young age. But before I even touch on that, I'd like to just kind of jump in. And yeah, my wife, Cass, also known as Cass in the City, is the absolute foundation of my world. She, you know, has been there through literally my darkest days. And she's been someone who is, you know, been a shoulder to lean on and has been, like I said, a foundation to build off of. And we've built an incredible life from, you know, where I came from, of being a person that's literally, not just figuratively, but literally standing at the edge of a bridge, getting ready to take my own life because, like, it felt like I didn't have any other options, right? Like I was being overcome by negative mental health, the stigma behind addiction, and I was just like so beaten down at the time. You know, like if anybody who's experienced any sort of addiction or mental health issues, I had just been so beaten down that I felt like I didn't have anywhere else to turn. And Cass was like, you know, a guiding light in that very moment. Wow. So shout out to Cass for putting up with it.
Is that your wife or is
yeah,
yeah. Shout out to Cass, his wife. Like, bro, we're going to get into that, right? But just thank you for sharing that. Thank you for clarifying that. But quick backstory, like where are you from? Like what was your childhood like?
Yeah, so I'm from upstate New York. Okay. I was born, you know, into kind of a complicated situation. My father cheated on his wife with my mom, got my wife pregnant, or got my mom pregnant, and you know, out came me. My dad had a family separate, obviously, from me and my mom, so it was complicated. Right. Obviously, I kind of got both worlds. It was like I was the baby of my dad's family, outcast, but I was my mom's only child. So, like, at the same, from my mom, I got a ton of love. Right. You know, and she did the best she could. Right. But she was a single mom, essentially. She tried to do everything on her own. She worked a lot, and So I had to spend a lot of time at my dad's house, and being thrown into that environment where my dad had a kid with another woman, you know, his wife was just...
You was a reminder.
Yeah, exactly.
You were a reminder.
She made me feel that.
Made you
regardless
feel like a
if she was doing it on purpose. I can't say that she was, but like you said, it was a reminder. And it was like every time she looked at me, it was a reminder that, hey, Frankie cheated on me with this woman. So, yeah, I spent a lot of my childhood at his house just feeling like uneasy, you know, and that affected me.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I have always been an athlete, wrestler, baseball, always excelled at that.
Okay.
But there was also turmoil at home. So we're like, some kids like had their dad to take them to, you know, the batting cages or like spent extra time with them, you know, took them to camps, this kind of thing. Like, I just didn't have that at home. My dad was also a drug addict. So there was just, again, turmoil at home. There was never like a sense of like calm.
Chaos was just like
chaos.
normal.
Exactly.
Wow. Wait a minute. You said something, right? And it related to me so much, Cal. Listen, I was adopted, right? I found out at 11 that my parents brought me in the room, told me my dad was crying. He never cried a day in my life. Told me, like, listen, you're going to meet your biological mother in court coming up. So it's like, we're not your real parents. Oh, and your biological father is your Uncle Vince that's been coming around this whole time. So it was like 11, a fucking whirlwind, right? Identity crisis. So later on in life, you know, I was raised by my parents, found out that I had two separate parents that were my biologicals. Later on in life, I tried to develop a relationship with my biological father. I started working. I was catching cases in the streets. I had a severe case. He saved me, helped me, you know, get on my feet and fight the case. He got me a job at his business. His family owned a funeral home. Wow. So, mind you, I was the oldest from him, but when, you know, he told his father about me, his dad said, you're going to go to mortuary school or you're going to deal with that kid that, you know, that woman from the hood. He stopped dealing with her, went to school, signed over custody to the woman that my mother that raised me, which were like close friends with my biological mom. Anyway, short story shorter, I started working at the funeral home later on in life, and his wife made it so hard for me to be around. And not just hard for me, she made it hard for him, that it affected our relationship, right? How he showed up. And one thing you said was my dad cheated on his woman with my mother. So me coming around was a reminder. As kids, we don't know this shit. We don't know the choices our parents make. But my father also cheated on his wife with my biological mother. Mind you, I wasn't even raised by my biological mother, but I still got that short end of the stick. How did that affect your relationship with your dad?
I mean, heavily, because like from the emotions that I would feel when I was at my dad's house, I didn't want to go there. You know, like I wanted to stay as far away from there as possible, not only because of her, but he was also using. So it was chaotic, and I couldn't put my finger on it when I was a kid, what was going on. Like you said, we don't know what our parents are going through. I just knew that something was going on.
Did your mom ever like bring you know how moms are, like, listen, your dad, did mom ever bring awareness to that? Or
my mom has always been textbook, don't tell Kellen anything.
Good job,
it's like,
Mom.
Keep Kellen in the dark.
Right.
Which,
does that help, you think? Does that help?
I mean...
Because just think about it, as a young kid trying to navigate your emotions and stuff that you don't know about, it could be detrimental informing a kid too much of what actually is going on.
There's a fine line of like, you know, telling a kid too much and not enough. Like, I feel like, you know, at some point it would have been helpful for me to know, okay, this is why she's acting like that. This is why Sherry treats you like this, because, you know, you're a reminder.
Wow.
I don't know I would have even understood that, because you got to remember, so my father also, this part of the story, like he's using, and then he started to have kidney failure. So I'm like 9, 10, 11 years old. My dad goes through kidney transplant, and like his health really starts to go downhill.
Right.
So around like 10, 11 years old, I completely stopped going over there. It was like just an excuse for me. Okay, dad's sick. Okay, perfect. I don't have to go over there at all now. So I'm spending a lot of time with my mom. And then my dad passed when I was 14. So that time from 12 to 14, I didn't really see my dad at all. Like, I talked to him on the phone a handful of times.
Right.
He spent the last couple of years of his life with my brothers up in Buffalo, New York, and they did their best to kind of take care of him. But he had done so much damage to his body through, ripping and running that it was kind of, his time was coming to an end, unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro. And, like, kids don't ask to be here. Like, as children, we're men now, but as we were once young men, young boys, and we don't ask to be here. And having to navigate through these things is troublesome, and it's a lot of kids out there that have to navigate through these things. You know what I mean? Like you said, I didn't want to go over there, right? But it's like, go spend time with your father. Be around your dad. I'm gonna keep you in the dark of certain things. A lot of kids see what's going on with their parents, and like you said, I don't want to go over there. What was, I guess, the drugs and the chaoticness? Was it more softer, more calm at mom's?
Yeah, obviously, my dad would always be like, "Oh, your mom spoils you."
Oh,
that's
okay,
always what I would hear.
Yeah, right.
In his eyes, that might be what it felt like, but it was like the chaos and the discomfort that I felt at his house. And like I said, it wasn't only from his wife, because my dad was kind of like, he would yell a lot. When you're under the influence, like, you just say anything.
Yeah, for sure,
for sure. And like, he was obviously, as men, we're more aggressive. So he was more aggressive than my mom was. Obviously, it was like, my mom is kind of like, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. So it was just, it was uncomfortable being
No,
at my dad's
I
house.
can relate. Life was so chaotic. It was just normal and the shit. When did you started transitioning? When do you think you started transitioning into, you said the first time that you got opioids from, how did that happen? How did you fall in line
So
with?
that time of my life, 14 years old,
After
was like
dad died.
a pivotal moment in my life. It was traumatic. My dad had just passed away. My Uncle Greg on my mom's side was having liver failure, and through that experience, like, I remember my mom's side of the family was like very traumatized through my uncle's disease. We went up to the hospital that he was in Buffalo, and it was like, we sat in the room with him as he took like his last breaths.
That's crazy.
Which was a traumatic experience, because it was like, it was visual.
Right.
Like, it was traumatic.
Right.
So that happened. And then my Aunt Judy's house was somewhere where like I escaped. It was on the Susquehanna River. I used to like spend a lot of time there, fish. She had animals, and it was just like a home away from home. I could, it wasn't my mom's house, so I could escape.
Right.
And her house was flooded in 2007, and that was like a traumatic thing where like the floodwaters came up extremely fast. It wasn't expected. It was like this whole thing. So right within that year of my life, it was just like, boom, boom, boom. And, when you're 14, you're already kind of experimenting with like going to parties and seeing what's going on. And at that time, obviously the opioid epidemic was starting to take over these small towns, especially on the East Coast.
Sure.
And opioids were just readily available.
Right.
Like, when I went to school, 9th, 10th grade year, I would get started, go to school in the cafeteria, and my buddies would have, different prescription pills, really.
Pain medicine, painkillers.
Yeah, it could be pain medicine, Adderall, Vyvanse, you know what I mean? Whatever it was. It was just like whatever you needed. It was like a pharmacy.
For sure.
I kind of
And were they doing that for recreation? That was all recreation.
I mean,
it was just a normal thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of kids were trying to escape. Where I grew up was heavily affected by, what do I want to say? Like, the economy was kind of falling apart in 2000. I guess that would have been like 2007. Mm-hmm. We were going through a recession. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were stressed out.
For sure.
At the same time, there's a lot of drugs being pumped into these communities.
Super available.
And it was like, we were victimized by it, essentially. It was just like, it was available. Obviously, you want to escape the reality that you're in and feel better. And, it was a snowball effect. Once you get started with something like that, especially at such a young age, I didn't realize what the consequences were.
Right.
That this was going to be like lifelong.
Right.
Because once you get addicted for the first time, like I'm a believer that addiction is a disease, but I think that also opioids specifically can also just like trigger that. And like you don't necessarily need to be like predisposed to addiction in order to be affected by opioids.
Very true.
Like it changes your brain chemistry. The first time that you get addicted to it, it's not something that you can just put down. Like for the next 2 years of your life, like I've done enough research on this. For the next 2 years of your life after you put the drugs down, literally your brain chemistry is trying to like pull you back into using. And that's why relapse is the way that it is.
Yeah,
because
so common.
like a lot of people think it's like a moral deficiency. Like it's something like a choice that you're making, which it is
essentially
a choice, but like your biochemistry is working against you after you've already made that choice. And I feel like when you've made it at such a young age, like, you know, it's sad because that's something that you have to deal with the rest of your life. I mean, obviously, as your clean time goes on, you become stronger.
Right,
you're able to make better decisions, and like your brain chemistry starts to even back out. But there's, you know, like I always hear in the rooms of, I'm not personally in the rooms anymore, but I've spent a lot of time in AA and NA. And one thing I've always heard is like, that monster's just like waiting, doing push-ups,
Right.
just waiting for you to make that decision.
Waiting for you to slip, waiting for you to fall back.
Yeah, and it's just going to be just as bad when you get back there. Doesn't matter if you've been away for a year or 20 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's doing pull-ups, push-ups. He's ready to rock and roll.
The monster is sitting there waiting for you doing That's a crazy analogy. Wait a minute. So being introduced, addiction, normal, going to school, still trying to navigate in a normal way. How did the addiction start affecting your relationships and your life personally? You know what I mean? Because like you said, you were doing it to escape, but after a while, it starts reversing itself, and it's like, how does that affect? For me, I know for example, when I was on Xannies, I was dumping Xannies crazy. I lost a lot of folks off overdosing and you know, just experimenting like kids. We were kids. You know, I remember a friend of mine was found in the house. So much fluid was and water weight was inside of him because he dumped so many prescriptions. It was like a bunch of pus on one side of his body was laid. Wow. And it was like crazy to see, crazy to witness, like you said, traumatizing. It was normal, right? But for me, I was a thief. I was a crazy thief. Started carrying pistols, started robbing, and being fearless, but also if I wasn't this high, I wouldn't be doing these things. Right. And it was like, bro, after a while, it was like, oh my God, stay away from Naeem. And I would hear stories like, you don't know what you did? Wake up handcuffed to a hospital bed or wake up handcuffed inside of you don't know what you did? Fuck no, what happened? Tell me. And it's like, bro, I'm escaping all of and not knowing that I'm traumatized from a lot of stuff that I've been through, molested at a young age, finding out about adoption, fighting to have just healthy relationships inside of my life exist consistently, not just like you felt like, what's the word I'm looking for? Conditionally. Like when you feel like it, loving on me, when you feel like being family, we're family. I come from that, and it was like so hard trying to navigate and act like it doesn't affect you, but it end up being the very much reason why we start self-sabotaging stuff. So, like, for me, like I said, the addiction was like, hey, I'm on these drugs, I'm doing X, Y, Z, but I started really affecting a lot of people that I was around where nobody wanted to be around me. So how was the addiction for you where it started affecting relationships? Because you was, like you said, early. I probably was a little later, but still, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so like I said, my mom, at this point in time, 14, we'll say high school. Right. That's when, like, things really started to ramp up. So 14 through 17, my mom worked a lot, so I was able to get away with a lot. I kind of started to avoid the rest of my family because, like, I knew I could get away. My mom would be so tired after work. She's kind of just focused on watching TV and relaxing, getting ready for the next day. And I'm just out ripping and running.
You could kind of get away with more around mom.
I got away with
murder.
Murder, exactly.
Right.
And it wasn't until I graduated high school, I was 19, and I had made the jump from prescription painkillers to street heroin. And it was, I had already made the jump to IV use because we were using like they got rid of the oxys and Opanas started to hit the street.
For sure.
And we started to inject those. This was like things got really
Crazy, bro.
animalistic. And I'm not even 20. I'm not old enough to drink yet.
Damn.
So like this is like animalistic behavior. I'm like so sucked into this lifestyle that it was like I didn't really have any life skills outside of robbing people and like using drugs. You know, like I wouldn't have known how to ask for help. You know what I mean? Unless my family like they did. Eventually it was like they sat me down for an intervention. I caught wind that I have 2 older brothers, half brothers. They're
My
both
dad
like
on dad's side, right?
14 years older than me. And they caught wind of it. I caught wind that they were coming down from Buffalo to kind of come find me.
Check you, right?
I'm scared. You know, it's not that I didn't want help. I was more scared of like the consequences at this time. So I was like, yo, take off. You know what I mean? I don't want to get caught. But they did. They came, found me. They, you know, had their ear to the streets. They knew more people than I thought they did because they, you know,
they've been around longer.
Yeah. They were on me pretty quickly. They came, found me, loaded me up, and they took me to Buffalo. Got me a hospital bed at Erie Hospital in Buffalo, New York. This is February of 2011, I want to say. And I spent 12 hours detoxing. And this is like the furthest I've ever gotten into, you know, trying to stop using.
Right.
And I was like, no, fuck this. I'm out of here. The nursing staff gave me a phone, which I feel like that wasn't a great idea, but I called up my girlfriend at the time. I was like, yo, Christina, you got to come pick me up. And she was like, all right.
Right there.
4 hours away from wherever they were.
Right.
She was like, all right. And then, again, my brother somehow caught wind that I was on the phone with someone. He's coming in. As I check myself out, he's walking in the building. He's like, yo, what are you doing out here? And I was like, oh, they let me out. He was like, bro, they didn't fucking let you out. So
Right.
Again,
So you didn't want the help. You didn't you did, but
I knew
you needed help.
I knew that I needed help. I knew that I didn't want to live the life that I was living.
Right,
but the pull of the drugs is so strong.
For sure, bro.
Especially within that first few days. Like going through physical withdrawal from any sort of any drug. Any drug. Going through that first really year is extremely difficult.
For sure.
Because your being, like, it's not only just like your physical being, but your mental health is like, yo, I know the solution to how you're feeling.
Right.
You know, like you don't have to feel sad, angry, happy. Like you can just use and you'll feel better.
Right.
You know, like feeling feelings is, for me, it's not easy. Like I used to use when it was rainy, sunny, happy, mad, angry, like whatever I was feeling, out the window. I would rather just feel better.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it wasn't that I didn't want help because I wanted to change. Like I've always had aspirations to, you know, be a good person, to be successful. Like I want to be, you know, a provider.
Right. You want to be the man that you visualize in your head. You want to be that. That's because you were always dreaming your whole life. Like you said, you play sports. You're not just in sports doing this your whole life. It don't have dreams and aspirations of doing more. So it was like somewhere along the line, those dreams start fading. But in the back of your head, you always want to save the day because you know what your family's been through. You know what the family looks like. But also in your heart, you know what you desire.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but you, like you said, you didn't have any life skills to kind of navigate. When was the turnaround?
Man, I went to treatment, I think 7 times. So it was a revolving door of like.
So just for anybody that watches this, right, that thinks that it's an overnight process, you know, like you just said, and I don't want to cut you off, I did, but 7 times, first of all, congratulations, because not only are you a survivor, you really were determined throughout relapsing, throughout doubt, fear, whatever, you know, to say that. Just, I don't want it just to be skipped over. Like he said, it's 7. I tried attempting to change my life 7 times. On top of however any other times that he contemplated. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the poster child of like relapse. You know, like I have gotten clean, spent the 30 days, and then like it's like I've said it. people will make you feel like it's a moral, like a moral wrongdoing that you've done. Like it's a choice that you're out there making. Like, you know what? I want to burn everything down. You know, like it takes those 30 days. You get through the physical withdrawal. You start to build trust back. People are starting to like praise you a little bit, like great job. And then there's that demon in the back of your head that's like, yo, but you could just feel better right now.
Right now.
You know, and it could be anything that triggers that. It could be you're having an issue with your relationship. Something's not working out at work. You know what I mean? You have a stomach ache. It could be anything that's just like, trigger it, you know, and as soon as you let that idea grab a hold, it's like when you're in early recovery, it is extremely hard to shut that down. And they say go to a meeting, and it's like easy to say all that stuff, but it really comes down to having like a solid support system. I cannot preach enough how important it is to have someone there that has your best interest at heart, that's like actually checking in on you. And like my family wanted to be that, but like it was hard for them because I think that they were just too close to it. They had a lot going on themselves. And when Cass was able to step in, that's why like I praise Cass so much. And like she's been such a vital part in my recovery because, and like, you know how sometimes they say like it's like really the people that you don't know that support you the most.
Sure.
Right? Like it would be the people close to you that kind of like
stranger. You'll build a whole empire with strangers.
Not that Cass was a stranger, because we were like, you know, in a relationship and kind of, you know, we met at a music festival and our relationship grew from there.
So y'all just met flat out at the festival?
No mutual friends, nothing. It was
no
like
social media, no nothing.
We had a similar costume on, and at the time I was on a Suboxone maintenance program, so I was able to like build some life skills and act normal. You know what I mean? Like
be out in society.
People thought that I was normal. Like I came off as a normal person, and I was able to reel Cass in, and and
so you guys met at a festival, and you immediately felt like, well, you are, like you said, you were dating before, but you were in and out of relationships, still battling your addiction. So when you met her, you were in the program, but still battling the addiction.
Yeah, I mean, so at the time, like I had like the opioid part, you know, arrested, but I was still like drinking and like doing other stuff because like, you know, when you're on a maintenance program like that, you feel like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you like I've accomplished some things. Let me go and live. Right.
So basically, Cass and I met at this music festival, but right at that time, I was in between moving from Virginia to Philly. My Suboxone doctor was in Virginia. When I moved to Philly, I was driving back to Virginia to get my Suboxone. At some point, that faded out, and then I just relapsed. But I was still in a relationship with Cass, so I was.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna wait till you're done because I do have a quick question.
Okay, yeah. So I started driving. I relapsed. I'm driving down to Baltimore now to meet Cass, and as you know, Baltimore is a rough and tough spot. So now I'm like deciding that I'm gonna drive down to see Cass. This weekend that I did that, I spent all my money. Don't show up to see Cass. She's blowing up my phone. Finally, she comes, finds me. I'm in a motel. I'd spent all my money in like on a crazy bender. You know what I mean? Banged up really bad psychologically. I had come up with a plan where I was going to leave the motel, drive back to Philly. On my way there, I was going to stop at the bridge that crosses the Susquehanna River. I was going to park my truck, and I was going to jump off because, like, I was sick of dealing with this shit. Like, I had already gone to treatment 6 times. Was it the pressure? I'd already gone to treatment. I'd already tried to do the rooms. I tried to just white knuckle it. I felt like I tried everything, you know? And for whatever reason, on that drive back, Cass called me, and she was like, yo, what is going on with you? Like, what, like, she thought that I was, like, cheating on her or something, or, like, dealing with these other girls, and really it was just, like, I was getting high, you know? She's like, are you sure nothing's going on? And, like, at that moment, like, I'm probably 3 miles from the bridge, and at that moment, I just, like, break down, and I'm like, yo, this is where I'm at.
Been an ongoing
like,
thing.
I don't have any insurance. I haven't paid my rent in 6 months. Like, I'm on the verge of eviction. Wow. Life is about to come crashing down.
It's happening.
And she was like, listen, I'm here for you. Like, whatever we got to do to try to figure out to get you in a treatment, let's do it. We'll figure it out. Like,
Wow.
just get home and, like, we'll figure this out in the morning. Just whatever you do.
And how far was y'all in your relationship at that time?
I mean,
y'all still was fresh? Or
I mean,
y'all was
fresh,
already,
yeah. No, we were, I mean, so.
how
we
dug
had
in were y'all?
we had a couple on and off stints.
Okay,
right?
okay.
But like I had started talking to her again in August, and this is happening in February.
So she already kind of knew the man you were, knew your potential and value.
Right.
So it wasn't just like a pity thing. It was like, I'm already feeling you. Because like you said, she's blowing you up. There's no girl blowing you up, especially accusing you of being with other women, because that's what a woman think. What are you doing, bro? And you like, bro, it's nothing like that. Yeah. Was that a lot for you to be transparent and vulnerable? Was that your first time? Was that your first time being vulnerable and transparent in a relationship with a woman and them receiving it like differently than what you probably expected? Because did you expect her to be like, bro, I got you?
I mean, I feel like I always expect people to just be like, yeah, dude, like, I'm going to have to let you go.
You're on your own.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Good
go
luck.
Figure it out. Because,
right.
I mean, that's really what my family had
That's
done.
what the outcome has been for the whole time, right?
Right. It's been like, yo, you got to figure this out. I don't know what you got to do, but you got to figure this out.
Damn.
You know, so it was like when Cass was like, you know, I got you. Like, I'm here for you. Whatever we got to do, like, we'll figure this out. It was definitely a feeling of, like, relief. Like, you know, like, okay, we'll try this. And at that time, just like it was a perfect storm of events that, like, set me on this path, it was, like, a perfect storm of events that was, like, coming to an end. It was, like, Cass was there for me. I was working for this construction company at the time. These two guys, John and Joe. I worked for them, but they were, like, my buddies, you know? And, like, when I came to them and told them what was going on, they were like, dude, whatever you got to do to get better, like, your job will be here when you get back. We'll help you get back on
they
your
was
feet.
your boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool,
they were
dope.
like, we got you. We just want you to get better. We don't want anything to happen to you. So
that's good.
When I got back, I had a job. I went down to Houston, Texas, to the watershed, and like they got me a flight, got me down there, and I was banged up when I got there. I was like, you know, going through it, but I was determined. Anyways, at this time, I don't know what was different other than, like, I seen light at the end of the tunnel at home. Like, I noticed, like, okay, I have a job to go back to. I have an opportunity to potentially, like, have a foundation to get started on. It wasn't like the unknown, because that, I feel like a lot of times that was a trigger for me. It's like a fear of the unknown.
Yeah, because you don't know how life is going to look. There's nothing stable. Nothing has been stable all these years.
Exactly. So I got to Houston, Texas, and obviously the first couple of days I was going through it, but as soon as I was able to, like, come out of the fog, like, I hit the ground running. Like, I was in the literature, like, you know, I was listening to what the doctors were saying to me, and this was a massive piece to my story. Is I sat in on this, like, you know, when you go to treatment, they have, like, these classes.
Right.
And I get in there, and the lead doctor of the facility has on the board, like, running and the effects it has on the brain. And he sat us down, and he basically was, like, listing out, I don't know, like, what drove him to talk about this, but it was running, and he was asking us a bunch of questions of, why does running make you feel like this? And it, like, he had a list of all of the chemicals that your brain releases when you run. And I was like,
really?
Opioids was on the board. Opioids, endorphins. I was like, oh, wow, maybe I should give this a try. Next morning, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to run a mile outside in the driveway, because I was in PHP at this time.
Right.
And I went out. I was still smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day at the time, like, awful diet even while I'm in there. And, like, the first mile was absolutely awful, like, extremely hard. But I knew that from the class the previous day that when I got finished up with the mile, that the rest of the day I would be feeling better, because my body would be releasing endorphins. Right. And the rest of the time that I was in treatment, I ran a mile every single day. And then I continued that once I got out of treatment. I got into a halfway house, and it was, like, just hand in hand. It was something that I could, like, physically see. Okay, I'm getting better at running.
Right.
I'm accomplishing this every day. It's also, like, a thing that like people are now looking at you differently when
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like, oh man, you run a mile every
Yeah,
day.
right,
Like
right,
that's
right.
what's up. And it
Right.
was kind of just like hand in hand with being able to see like my recovery journey. It was like something I could like
Right. You can
see it
gauge
and
you
feel
can,
it.
Right.
You know,
right.
like
Right.
and yeah, so that's how I was kind of.
Damn. Shout outs to you.
introduced to
Shout outs to Cat. Wait. El, you had a question?
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
My bad. No, you're good. You're good. I just wanted to know, like, when was the single moment where you was like, oh no, this is like, I'm kind of in it. You get what I'm saying? I think you might have answered it with
What, the
with
addiction or the
bridge.
run?
Yeah, with the addiction, not the run.
Yeah. You know. I think
he might have answered it.
Yeah,
with,
so
Yeah, I think-
I mean,
that,
I would say that at the time when I really knew, I would say I was probably like 18 years old, and it was really when we first started getting into like the prescription painkillers. I would say even sooner than that. The first time that I felt the withdrawal, you know what I mean, and recognized that like
oh shit, like
yo, I can't just stop doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't just like not do this.
I used to sip
because-
syrup heavy. I used to sip promethazine heavy. We used to put our painkillers in and let it dissolve. And I was on it so bad. 2 or 3 days. I remember getting locked up and I remember being in the cell. I'm like, what is this? Stomach hurting. I'm having a poop real bad. I'm like, what is going on? I'm throwing up. I'm going through withdrawal. And I'm in there with a bunch of other people going through their own addictions. Don't matter if it's dope, coke, crack, don't matter. Everybody's going through their withdrawal. And you realize like, yo, like we're all out here suffering in different ways. You dig what I'm saying? But addiction is addiction. It don't matter what drug it is. Nobody's like, oh, I'm better than you. Addiction is addiction. And it don't got to be drugs to be an addiction, right? So but I think he did clarify that. But so boom, fast forward, you started running a mile. You fall in love with the process, and you're feeling the difference because, like you said, you can feel it inside of your journey, right? Because where we rather look good than feel good, and it's like you can actually feel it without anything attached, knowing that you're putting this work in, right? And you're building your relationship with Cass. Now, staying sturdy on your journey. You're starting to pick up more healthier habits. So after running, what else was it for you? I mean, running became very therapeutic for you, but what else became like a part of your healthy habits in that time? Because now you're in your relationship, and it's like, we can't keep going out drinking. We can't keep doing the same shit if we say we want something different. And my girl might not be a runner like me, you know what I mean? Or, so now we got to find more healthier habits to fill in these gaps.
Yeah, so I will say that again, like Cass has been a G through this whole thing. Like she completely stopped drinking, stopped smoking. Like she was like, "Yo, I'm gonna make sure you have an environment that's like safe, and have a place where like you don't have to feel pressure." And that was tricky at the beginning because like a lot of her friends specifically, because you got to remember my friends were all using.
You're like,
you know what I mean?
what's
So
up?
pretty much I had to shut off every acquaintance friend that I had. I had to figure out.
Like, bro,
new
you
things
fronting on
to
this
go
because you got a new chick. You fronting on this, bro.
Yeah, no, I had to, like, as they say, people, places, and things, like, I completely flipped that on its head.
Wow.
But Cass's friends are normal.
What do
You know what I mean? Like, they can go out and, like,
Right,
for a
and
weekend.
exist and
like,
not be all-
and then go to work on Monday. Like,
Right,
for
right,
me,
right.
like, if I go out, I'm going to drink.
To the moon.
Crack house. Like,
Right.
we're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go to jail.
Like you said, what did you say at 18? What did you say? Animalistic.
Yeah.
I'm going all in or nothing.
Yeah, so Cass and I just kind of.
She was real pivotal for that.
Yeah, we were boring at the beginning.
Boring is good. No. There's people at home that think that, you say boring. Boring.
I'm gonna be honest, like, and this is where the shift happened for me because at the beginning of my recovery, bro, all I did was work, eat, sleep, and lift. Like the substitution for me was the gym and fitness, and like it even got to the point where like there was times where Cass is like, yo, you gotta back off of this, but like. I had to, like, I that's my personality.
Yeah.
I need something that I'm going to lock in on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's either going to be the thing that, elevates me, or it's
For sure.
like had been the thing that had been bringing me down because I had been locked in on,
All the wrong stuff.
the wrong stuff. Right.
Right,
So
right.
the first couple years, it was really a lot of construction, a lot of just hanging at home and lifting weights. I locked in on fitness, and
You saying construction meaning like you were reprogramming yourself?
No. That was my literal job. Yeah.
Construction work.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Construction work. And it wasn't like, so I did spend the first year of my recovery going to meetings. I went to a meeting every day for the first year. And yeah, I mean.
When did running become like, yo, this is it, Michael Jackson? This is it.
So I had like built like this physique through going to the gym and just like eating healthy. Like I would go through these like crazy health kicks of just like literally cutting everything off. Like I'm talking just like chicken and rice. And up until COVID, I had been into like bodybuilding, and then it started to shift into like competitive CrossFit there towards the end, because I felt that I needed to like compete against people,
Right.
and that was like calling me. And then once the world shut down and all the gyms shut down, I was like, damn, what am I gonna do now? And I had already been, like I said, dabbling with running a little bit, and my buddy was like, yo, what do you think we try to run 100 miles? And I was like, all right, like, can't be that hard. David Goggins did it, right? Like,
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
It's a mental battle. So we went to the drawing board. This is like little to no planning. We were like, okay, we're going to go to the beginning of the Schuylkill River Trail in Frackville, Pennsylvania. It's 160 miles back home. Frackville.
That's a crazy prison up there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
The start of the
most
Schuylkill
racist ever penitentiary.
The start of the Schuylkill River Trail.
I know
is
exactly what you're talking
right
about.
outside of Frackville Prison.
Yeah.
Get dropped off there, and we decided we're gonna run back. So at this point in time, like I'd been training a little bit. We did like an overnight 50 miler, but again, like as far as like figuring out nutrition, there's a lot that goes into ultramarathon running, right? Like you got to figure out hydration, nutrition. Like you have to train your body to be able to take like the pounding, because running is a lot on the body. We pretty much disregarded most of that, and we went out with like a couple bottles of water, some peanut butter and jelly, and we were on our way.
Cavemen.
Yeah, I ran 90 miles that day. Almost finished it. We
said I almost finished at 90.
I ended up calling it because like the pain that I was in was just like I wasn't prepared for what my body was going to go through.
Mentally, what you telling yourself doing these things? Like mentally coming from where you come from.
I had been like, I feel like I had kind of just like built up this persona of just like being in the gym, and like I had built myself up from the ground up. And you know what? A lot of times I've done a lot of ultra marathons and marathons now at this point. And like,
talk heavy.
You know what I go back to a lot of times when it starts to get hard?
What?
Is like, I've gone through withdrawals, right? Like that's like
it's a reminder.
You know what I mean? You can't just stop the withdrawals.
Mentally.
With like when I'm like deep into a race, like I just ran Philadelphia distance run. I ran 115 and some change. Like doesn't matter how much you train, it's still hard to do those things. You're just preparing your body to be able to handle the stress, right? But typically late in those races, where my mind goes is like, this is gonna stop as soon as I take my foot off the gas, right? Like I can do this, but I got another, even if it's 80 minutes, like what's 80 minutes,
80 minutes
of redlining? Like I've dealt with severe withdrawals. I've been, outside on a winter morning, you know what I mean? Nowhere to go, going through withdrawals, no idea how I'm going to eat, where I'm going to sleep.
What life would look like, right.
Like if I can do that, like what's running 100 miles, you know?
Damn. Nope. Mentally,
and like, there's something about pushing through those like chosen hard times now that like keep me going. And it's just like, it's a reminder. Like some people need to be in the rooms and talk about, their addiction or their alcoholism. And for me, it's just like, I need to feel challenge, and I need like a battle to fight against. And like I need to be able to go to war for something in order to like
you said, tangible is right there, and it feels like right. No. I definitely could relate, bro, because when I first started working out 2013, I went from a 38 weights to a 38 weights to a 30. I was just tired where I was at in life. I was going through a breakup at the time. My grandmother was in hospice. I didn't know what hospice was. She was dying. I just needed something. I went to school for HVAC. I needed a career job. I was tired of the rug being pulled from underneath me. Went to school for HVAC. First 3 days of school, close friend get killed. I lost plenty of homies in the streets, but it was like, all right, this is a test. Am I going to do what I said I was going to do, or am I going to go back and give the other areas of my life this energy? So for me, bro, it was just like, all right, I'm going to just start working out to fill in the gap. School is 6 months. I'll just start working out. I fell in love with running because it was like therapeutic for me. I was by myself, and I felt like I was running away from the old me. And by constantly putting out new footprints out here and exploring and experimenting, rather it was, oh, I'm going to do 6, or I'm going to do 8, or I'm going to do the loop, I'm going to run a Jersey. And it's like, you feel so mentally fucking good. Yeah. Doing something that you told yourself you're going to do, and you're like, yo, I really did it, right? So fast forward, you build a community. But before we build a community, how important is it for somebody that says, oh, I don't need a coach, or I don't need nobody, I know I could do this? Like you said, we went out there with peanut butter and jelly and shit, but this part in your, not then, but just now where you're at in your journey now, for somebody listening, because all the greats, all the professionals, everybody has a coach. Somebody might say, I need a run coach. Why not? How important is it for you to say, man, get yourself some help?
Yeah, I would say that, like, the journey that I took and the path that I took to getting to where I'm at isn't the most efficient. So I think that you'll save a lot of stress and a lot of damage to your body if you do reach out to a coach and reach out to somebody who has experience in running, whether it's running, lifting, being in recovery, or whatever it is. Having guidance definitely makes a massive difference. And like, it's not always how hard you're working, but a lot of times it's working smarter, not harder. Right. And I had to learn that the hard way. And with running, especially, like I said, it's a lot of stress on your body. So you're the chances of you getting injured are extremely high unless you're following the guidelines of somebody who's been through it. Because I don't know about your experience, but like as soon as I started running and like I got that runner's high, like I was like, okay, 2 today, 6, 8, 10. Next thing you know, 3 weeks later, I'm running 100 miles, right?
100
like
miles
I was like, yo, I got this. And it didn't come without like having the runner's knee or like having like soleus issues. I had like the plantar fasciitis in my foot, like, and all of that stuff is the way I look at it now. Is like it's your body building a tolerance. Like you have to. I listened to this podcast of this marathoner talking about like, when he's training for a marathon, you pretty much have to go through like so much running, so much pain. You have to get so injured. You have to put your body through so much in order to chase that goal that you're after. Right. So like the way that I look at it is you are training your mind and your body through like the process of preparing for these events, whatever it is, or even if you're just getting into running as an outlet, like you still have to prepare your body to get to where you want to be. But yeah, as someone who's run everything from a sub 16-minute 5K to 100+ mile race. I would say that it's probably a good idea to reach out to coaching. I mean, there's plenty of information on the internet and with ChatGPT. Now you can get a lot of information, but for me, my coach Corey at Run Your Personal Best.
That was the Corey.
Yeah, he does a great job with guiding me and sending me on my way.
That's dope. Community. We built a run club. When did you notice that your story and your movement started impacting people? Like, when did you notice like the influence, like sharing your story or just people wanting to be inspired just by your journey? Not even knowing your story, but just seeing you in motion is like, oh God, I'm inspired. Next time you get busy, and then also explain to the people that don't know what's an ultra. But community and ultra, go ahead.
Yeah, so, an ultra marathon is pretty much anything more than a marathon. A marathon is 26.2 miles. It doesn't matter what marathon it is, it's always 26.2 miles. A lot of people get that confused. I'll be like, I'm running a marathon this week. And they'll be like, how far?
Right.
Yeah, marathon means 26.2 miles. Now, ultra marathon is like a spectrum of things. Typically, it starts at 31 miles, which would be a 50K, and can go as tall now as like these multi-day things that go on. Yeah, people are running these like backyard ultras where it's like a 4.2 mile loop, and every hour on the hour you do that loop until there's only one person left.
Damn.
And people are doing like 400 or 500 miles.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. It's pretty serious. And like, you know what? Part of me is intrigued by that.
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued by the fact that you are competing and overcoming people. I don't think like the slow running is really for me. I prefer to,
Yeah,
run
because you're
fast.
competing. You're like distance, and I'm getting this shit done fast speed. I'm like, yo, bro. Whew, I was like, see you later. Cool.
Yeah, and as far as like Recovery Run Club, that I'll give a lot of credit to Cass, because Cass was like, yo, you got to start giving back. You got to get re-involved with community. And when I finally took that bait and decided, you know what, let's do this, Recovery Run Club has been great. And it's been something that I just recently, for the month of September is Recovery Awareness Month.
Right.
So I decided I was going to do weekly events. We meet in Manayunk at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesdays. We do an all faces, all paces are welcome, 5K, super inclusive. Nobody's out there ripping. And I mean, if you want to, by all means, but we all stay together.
Right.
We, chatting before, chatting after. Typically, I'll bring some Cadence electrolyte drinks with me, and we just kind of hang out and have a good time.
So, Cass, you keep Cass from the beginning to now, very pivotal in your journey, right?
Massive.
How important would you say having the right woman in your life is?
I mean, I think that I'm not even going to say that.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say, hang on. I'm going to say, next to every great man, there is a great woman that is, the guiding light, to the journey. Like, I have tons of ambition and, I can move mountains.
Right.
But without the correct guidance, like, my energy can be put into negative shit too. So it makes a massive difference for me to have someone like Cass to be able to, direct my energy and kind of like, sometimes reel me back.
Men don't want to say that type of stuff though, Kel. Men don't want to admit that men want to keep it together and hold it together and act like they got it all figured out. But it's like, bro, you're like, man, I know my role. I know my strengths, but I'm Morpheus. She's Neo.
Yeah.
She's the one.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be getting. So very pivotal inside your life, right? We don't got a lot of time left, but inside of relationships, inside the journey, developing your community, developing yourself, how important is it for you guys to grow together inside your relationship? Because you outgrown a lot of people. You cut off a lot of people. How is it important for you guys to grow? Like, what are some of the things you guys do, your non-negotiables, besides you running ultras? Because I'm sure Kaz is not running ultras. I see she's like vicious content creator, vicious mom, and then you guys have a daughter. How do you guys balance out your individual lives as well as your non-negotiables that you create for each other? That was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot. That's a lot. So bring it back. If you watch it, so how about this? How about you give me some non-negotiables that you guys created together? Because you sound like you got yours. And she was already like being that anchor for you. What are some non-negotiables that you guys have that's together? Besides raising your daughter.
I mean, I would say our non-negotiables are pretty much just like communicating. I mean, that's been a massive piece in, us growing as a couple, because the life that I came from, communication was
None of that.
not great.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a non-negotiable, and really like the heart of our relationship has been like talking to each other, communicating how we're feeling, where we're going, what we want to do, what we want to accomplish.
Right.
And, it's something that we're still working on. Cass and I aren't perfect by any means.
Right.
I feel like, as we go along, because neither of us came from a family that was like together, sure, her dad wasn't around. My parents were separated. So like all of the things that we are building now as a family with a daughter, we're pioneering this shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we didn't have role models.
You didn't have like a manual or people to show you guys.
Still not like my mom really isn't around even now. Her mom isn't around now. So it's not like we have even people to like bounce this stuff off of.
Right. So you guys got to create that world that you
I would say our non-negotiable numero uno is just making sure that we're on the same page, and the only way to do that is to communicate the best.
And that's not always easy, because that's not always easy in relationships, but it takes vulnerability, transparency, and being authentic with each other, and being able to receive that type of information as well, because sometimes people like to just talk and communicate when the list of complaints pile up or shit gets hectic, and it's like learning how to communicate in a healthy space versus when, I got something that, of course, everybody wants to communicate when something's bothering them, but learning how to communicate in a healthy space, right? Like you said, we weren't taught that, we weren't shown that, so we're learning that, right? Thank you for that. Is there anything, if you had to reach out, well, first of all, for people that's not runners, he does ultra, I don't want to do all of that. How would you encourage somebody that's not a runner? What would you say to a person that want to start their journey as a runner?
Yeah, I would say that the easiest way to get involved in running is like kind of take a similar approach to what I took and start with that mile a day. If it's not a mile a day, you don't have to run the whole thing. You could run for 1 minute, walk for 1 minute, do that for a mile every day. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be a full mile. You could do it for 10 minutes. Do that 10 minutes every day. But it's just taking that small bite. And for me, I've always preached to people, it's something like I need to build routine. So I would rather people go out and do something every day and maybe dial back the volume and the amount that you're doing it. So if you can only do a mile a day, do a mile a day. If you can only do 10 minutes a day, do 10 minutes a day. But I'd like to see people get out and build a routine by doing that every day, because, after 20 days of that, 21 days of that, now you've built a routine. Now it's discipline.
Right.
And now you're not so much relying on like the motivational thing, because you always hear like motivation is fleeting.
You hear that,
know what
right.
I mean? That comes in and out. When that alarm goes off at 5 a.m., even now, like I don't want to get up and go out and run 12 miles. Like
you're so disciplined.
it's just boom. I hear the alarm and it's like shoes on my feet and I'm gone.
Non-negotiable.
So I would say that, yeah, if you're just trying to get involved with anything physical, I would say start small and try to attack it every single day.
Great. I'm going to get one more, maybe two, but one more definitely. You went through a lot as a young man, 12, 13, having to figure out the choices our parents make, right? If you had to now say something back to the 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old you, if you had to say something, because you didn't see what life would look like now, I'm pretty sure it's a tremendous amount of gratitude for your wife, your family, how far you've come between you, God, your relationships and everything. If you had to look back now and share a message with the 14-year-old you that could probably resonate to somebody out there stuck in their journey, what would you be? Because you didn't know life would look like this for you. You had people like me, like, yo, bro, I want to, you know what I mean? And just so many people's lives that you've impacted just through your story and your movement. What would you say to the 14-year-old you?
I put thought into that question many times, and I would say I would like to sit my younger self down and tell them to weather the storm, and that it's not always going to be bad. These feelings aren't forever. The things that you feel are human. Everybody's feeling these feelings, and it's going to get better. Like life isn't always bad, and it's not always going to be good. There's highs and lows that you have to weather, and it's really about who can manage these emotions the best. And like I always go back to Goggins, because like honestly, reading Goggins' book made a massive difference in my life. But he's always like, it's not about like the feelings that you're feeling, but it's about like who can hide these feelings the best sometimes and who can manage them the best. So like a lot of the people that I always seen around me growing up, and it seemed like they were unbothered or they weren't going through things, like they're feeling the exact same emotions you're feeling. They're also human. They're just able to manage that stuff a little bit better and hide it a little bit better than you can.
Facts. Great message, bro. Hey, man, this has been a great interview. Great conversation piece. Hats off to you for being a motivator, father, husband, leading from the front by great choices. You're a survivalist, but also doing the work for mankind right now, whether you know it or not, because you inspire folks to make better choices through your actions. And I think that's one of the contributions of being here on this planet until we leave here. So Thank you for that. And then, can I get some Bomba socks? Like,
Yeah, I got you. I
know
got Bombas on deck.
I know you got the. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to keep up with all your fits, but at least I love Bombas. Some Bombas. I know you got the hook up, the percentage. Send me the code. But other than that, that's it. That's all I got, bro. Thank you for the conversation. Shouts to your wife. Shouts to your movement. When you guys run again, Tuesdays?
Tuesdays, 5:30 p.m. Manny Yunk parking lot, or Manny Yunk Regal Cinemas parking lot.
Right there, the movies, right there, the bridge. And how do they find you on social media?
Kellen Runs Philly on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. I post daily on those sites, so check me out.
And if y'all see him on the trail, beep the horn. If y'all see his hair flying in the wind, he got the strap around his chest, beep the horn, salute. You know what I mean? It's always love. I appreciate you coming out, bro.
For sure. I appreciate you, man. For sure.
And that was a wrap. We'll see y'all in the next episode, man. Great conversations, great personal development piece, and we out. See y'all.